This is Minecraft's aether dimension, part of the age-old aether mod. It first released in June of 2012. It's the legendary mod that brought us glowstone water portals. Ah yes, it also doesn't work with replay mode. All that put aside, what would it look like realistically? Well, let's first break it down. It's in another world. There are clouds everywhere, so I suppose it's over the clouds. There are strange creatures just flying around, smaller flying islands and flying temples with chest monsters in them, and some kind of boss. There's of course also the legendary entrance portal to the aether. On my list of components I choose the aether portal and the aether islands, small as well as large, because they are by far the most recognizable part of the mod, especially the portal. So I got to work on the islands right away, but first I needed to collect some reference, for which I quickly fired up the game and had to notice how much smoother 1.19 runs, especially on 32 chunks and more. Nothing compared to Bedrock though. They really need to do something about performance. I then built the portal to the aether and collected some screenshots of the island. I tried to create a photo scan of it, but it was stopped by my lack of dedicated hardware, so I had to live with just screenshots. I first created one of the little islands by modifying a cube in Blender. Then I gave it a material made out of multiple 4K PBR textures with displacement. Following this, I scattered a bunch of foliage over it, which I got from Grasswald, back when it was a one-time payment. Very obviously not sponsored. Anyway, scattering assets like for example ivy and leaves over it improved it by a considerable amount. I then took a tree asset I bought and put it onto the island. This is what it looked like after rendering. But what about the bigger islands? Well, I got to work on them right away. But little did I know that they would bring my computer to its breaking point. I don't have 200 gigabytes of RAM yet. I started by taking BuggerPie assets, especially BuggerPie cliff assets, and putting an ungodly amount of foliage, leaves and all kinds of plants onto them. I then used them and some evener photoscans of rocks to build a kind of mountain, but this mountain had some very even walls, which are solved by scattering rocks onto it. I created these rocks in Houdini using a multitude of noises and PDG generation. At last, the mountain was finished, except for that it wasn't. It was still missing trees. You know these green leaf having thingies outside? Know these? No? Oh. So I added in some sort of those, which completely blew my memory budget. But it was still just a large mountain asset, but not for much longer, because I added multiple duplicates of it into another scene to create a bigger island. I then scattered some sort of little islands around. Then I pressed render. I let multiple perspectives of the islands render out overnight via a batch script, but most of these renders were never completed. Only 3 out of 6 images actually managed to render. Here they are after some nuke magic. Yes, they are all vertical, but they are also filled with details. Let's now create the highlight of the video. The portal. Since it's quite a complicated structure due to its fluid part, I split it up into 2 parts. First, the portal on its own, and then the portal with a fluid simulation. I started by creating a glowstone block. I made the parts through which the glowing stuff is visible using a noise texture and geonodes. Following this, I gave it a rock texture and made the glowing part glow as well. I then redid the entire setup in Houdini, made it in HDA and generated variants of it using tops. I then made a portal out of them and deleted the glowing stuff, because I wanted to use the shell as a collider for my fluid simulation. By the way, it had about 50 million vertices, which is bloody ridiculous. Now, how does a fluid simulation work? Well, you can divide it into multiple parts. Number 1. Most fluid sims are based on particles, which behave like for example lava, water, or ice cream. These particles are then voxelized into a mesh made out of polygons in the second step. Because simulating stuff like foam and spray in a flip sim would be ridiculously expensive to do, you use another particle simulation in another step, but actually keep the particles. I then went through the just named steps and let the fluid simulation cache out overnight using PDG, which only crashed twice, both because of memory problems. By the way, fluid simulations are ridiculous in file size. This one, for example, was around 73 gigabytes. Which is on the lower side. I don't even want to imagine how much space the Sims for the upcoming Avatar movie are taking up at Weta Digital. Not sponsored. With the fluid simulation out of the way, I built a scene around it, which absolutely killed my render times. I then rendered it out in 2 formats overnight, and put it through Nuke, which vastly improved the visuals. If you're curious, these spots are caused by the AID noiser trying to get rid of all the noise produced by the path tracing render engine Karma. The vertical version is far higher quality though. Alright, let's finish it. We still got 1 portal to go. On this one I went a little smaller on the environment, but nevertheless it was a lot of work. To get a little more magic into it, I made the flowers on the trees glow, and upsized the ferns by several 100%. Can we just quickly think about how large this portal would be in real life? Minecraft blocks are a cubic meter in size, and the minimum portal is 5 by 4 by 1 blocks, which is just ridiculous from a human perspective. Anyway, here are the results. I again rendered out multiple perspectives, both because it would be a waste not to take advantage of such a large environment, and because I need some sort of content for my Instagram. I would like to end this video with some statistics. At the time of writing this script, this video generated over 290 gigabytes in data, and it will no doubt reach 300 gigabytes. In total, I spent over 20 hours on this video, not including editing or computational time. The purely computational time of this video is 45 hours, which totals to 65 hours of my PC on. Remember, electricity is not cheap. I dearly hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did, maybe subscribe and leave a like. Have an excellent day.